Today I'm going to show you how to maintain your furnace to get it ready for the winter heating season. First thing we want to do when we're taking a look at a furnace is we want to check the filter. Let's pull this one out and take a look. This one's pretty shot. It's been full of debris and material. We're going to go ahead and replace this. It's a good idea to replace your furnace filter once a year at least. If you use your furnace as your primary heat source and you live in the northern climates, you should replace your filter every month to every 3 months, depending on the type of filter that you buy. Today I bought a HEPA filter. The best way to tell what rating the filter is there's a MERV number. It's called MERV 13 is the kind I bought. That's supposed to take viruses out of the air, pollen, dust, dander. So what happens is the cold air from your house comes down into the bottom of the furnace. So when a forced air furnace puts heat into the air, the cold air has to get pushed down and it has to be sucked out of the room through the cold air intake. That's what this is here. So where the cold air from the house comes back into the furnace to recycle, reuse, that's where the filter's placed. This is also the intake for the furnace. So you'll see on the filter there's an arrow. You want the arrow pointing towards the furnace because the cold air is coming down and it's going through the filter. So we're going to install the arrow towards the furnace. Okay, now that's pretty basic. So next what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the furnace is off. We're going to take the panels off and we're going to take a look inside and make sure there's not a lot of dust in there and that all the electrical connections are okay. And one of the best ways to make sure your furnace is actually off is to go to your thermostat, shut it off. So the first way to do that in most furnaces is you lift up on the top part and remove it. Same with the bottom panel. You lift up on it and remove it. Okay, with the doors off, we can see in. First thing we want to look at is the fan. So when we look at the fan on most energy efficient furnaces, it has a condensation drain. Pulls moisture out of the air while it's working. So we want to make sure that this drain isn't clogged and that it's working properly. This is also a drain to the exhaust. So energy efficient furnaces need to drain. If any of these drains are clogged, your furnace will not work. So what we do is we follow it down. It comes down into a trap so the water drips down. As it overflows, it comes out of the furnace, comes down, and it drips into a drain that goes into the house. So the main thing we want to be concerned with is making sure that the drain is working properly and that none of these hoses are clogged in any way. Next, we want to take a look at the electrical connections and make sure the furnace is off when doing this. We just want to make sure that none of the wires are loose and that everything is hooked up, that there's no burnt, nothing's burnt looking, nothing's black and burnt on the motherboard. Okay, so a furnace has some basic parts. This is the igniter. It's an electronic igniter. It's computer controlled. This part is the motherboard. This is where all the electrical connections go. So we want to make sure all of our electrical connections are clean, that there's no burnt parts on the motherboard. Everything here looks really good. Moving away, this is a kill switch, so the furnace won't run while the panels are off. This has to be engaged. When we put the door back on, it'll tell the furnace that the door is on and it's safe to operate. The furnace filter comes in right here, so when we pull the filter out, we can look in there, and it's a good idea to vacuum this cavity. I just vacuumed this one because this is where all the dust comes in from the house. So the main thing is to keep everything nice and clean, make sure all the connections are good, make sure all your drains are working properly, that your gas line is hooked up right, there's no leaking, that the valves are all working on the gas. If you have not had trouble with your gas, you probably won't. Sometimes the valve will fail. This is the valve that brings the gas into the furnace. If that fails, you won't get any kind of a flame. But all in all, this furnace looks pretty good. You just make sure all the clamps are tight on the exhaust, there's no gases coming in, the induction fan is clean, and that all the electrical contacts are in good shape. Once the new filter's installed, we can put the doors back on and we're good to go. Okay, so now we've checked out all of our connections, everything looks good. I'm going to make sure none of the wires are in the way. The furnace won't operate unless this door is on because of this kill switch right here. So to put this on, you put the bottom to where it hooks in. And you want to snap it down so it interlocks this top lip. And just push it down like that. Next, we're going to install the top. Again, we're going to line up the sides, stick the bottom in, and this hooks down. So you got to lift it up, push it down. So it's lined up, everything works good. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please leave a message below. And don't forget to subscribe.